In this video, we're going to define and differentiate between two concepts that will become the focus of the rest of this course: learning and transfer of training. Here is the textbook's model of just some of the factors that influence training effectiveness. Both learning and transfer of training are required for training to be effective, for these outcomes to be reached. To design an effective training program, we have to consider the characteristics of the trainees, the training environment, and the work environment. Learning outcomes help ensure that transfer of training outcomes are also reached. Eventually, by the end of this course, we will have covered all of the components of this model. Let's begin by reviewing the meaning of both learning and transfer. After all, in order to measure something, we have to define it. All of us learn, and we have been since the day we were born. But what exactly does it mean to learn? In the context of training and development, learning refers to a change in KSAOs, in behaviors, or some other measure of performance. The change is brought about by experience, whether it be through one of the development opportunities that we learned about earlier in the course or through intense practice. The way we learn, the way we induce a change, affects how information is perceived and stored in memory. When trainees use rehearsal, they go over information again and again and again repetitively until it sticks. When they use the organizing strategy, they look for similarities and trends across training topics. Elaboration involves relating current training content to previously learned training content, to more familiar knowledge. But learning isn't enough. We also need trainees to apply what they learned to their jobs. We call this transfer of training. Learning usually happens during training, during the actual learning event, while transfer of training is something that happens post-training, after the learning event. It's a little bit easier to track learning because it usually happens within a training program. A little bit more difficult to evaluate transfer because it doesn't always happen in the training context. We have to collect information from employees' work environment, like performance data, in order to understand whether transfer of training occurred and to what extent. There are two important goals when it comes to transfer of training: generalization and maintenance. Generalization occurs when trainees apply information from the training environment to a work environment that is similar to, but not identical to, the training environment, which is the case for many people. Many people are trained in situations that are different from the situations they face on the job. Maintenance is related to that idea that if we don't use something, we lose it. Use it or lose it. Maintenance involves the continuous use of some knowledge or skill or behavior on the job. A number of internal and external conditions are necessary for trainees to be able to learn and apply what they learn to the job. Internal conditions are processes within the learner and can include things like how information is processed, how it is stored in memory, and how it can be recalled. First, we have to make sure that trainees have the required prerequisites to complete training. Then, to encourage active learning, training content should be meaningful, and trainees should have plenty of opportunities to observe trainers and others demonstrating correct behaviors and opportunities to practice what they learn. External conditions refer to processes in the environment. Both the training environment and the work environment should provide plenty of opportunities for learners to practice the new KSAOs and behaviors that they're expected to learn. Both of these environments should also provide plenty of feedback geared toward helping them improve and also gauge their developmental progress. The support that managers and colleagues offer makes a difference. It includes things like speaking positively about training, encouraging one another to attend training, and asking questions about what others learned from specific training programs. Imagine attending a training program and never being asked to use that skill or that knowledge again. What was the point? The work environment needs to support, it needs to facilitate, it needs to encourage both learning and transfer of training. If it doesn't, some of our efforts are going to be a waste, going to be lost.